Good evening, folks. We are live. We are adding pictures. How we doing it right now? I'm turning the picture around. So,
hey, Shane, we give them a little note beforehand. Every time we do this, we have a little network difficulty, or we have special going.
It's always some technical difficulty. We're just fishermen. We're not technically like this, guys. Good evening, guys. Welcome to CrappieKast. Like as promised, it's 7 p.m. We try to go live right at 7 p.m. That's John and Jessica. Scott Williams is going to be joining us. He's on the road, fixing to be back at home. He's going to come on and talk about the Professional Crappie Anglers Association. And I'm trying to add a picture here. John and Jessica, they do a lot of fundraising for the Kiwanis Club, and I'm trying to get a flyer now.
Here in a little bit, we're going to talk about Kiwanis Club. I mean,
go ahead, John.
Has nothing to do with crappie fishing. Shane's going to put the picture up here. I mean, it's just a little local thing we had, but when he gets the picture fixed, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I hope everybody's having a good week. We'd like to welcome y'all, like Shane said, and if y'all have any success stories from fishing this week, put them in our notes and tell us about it.
Yeah. Sure. People have been out there. Some people are on spring break. Come on board there, and I'm fixing to add this picture right now. See if I can get it. Should have it. All right, I got it on there now, Jess. Got it on there. Let's see if I can add this. And you can talk about it while we're sitting here, John. Hang on just a second. There you go.
All right, buddy.
Add it, and I'll put it on front of you. You can tell everybody about it. We got 42 people on here, guys. I'm going to let John discuss this. Yeah, that's quick, man. I appreciate y'all guys getting on here. I'm trying to download a picture. There you go. Talk a little bit about that, John. I got it posted.
All right,
now.
So we actually had this golf tournament yesterday, and for people who don't know what Kiwanis Club is, it's a civic organization that, it's nonprofit. Jessica and I are both members of it, and it's all Kiwanis Club focuses on is helping kids in the community. We've built playgrounds. Our biggest focus lately is we raise money and we give scholarships to seniors every year, of high school seniors, to go to college. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country. The Kiwanis Club is near you. And if you want to do something to help kids in your community, either help the Kiwanis Club that's near you or join and become a member. I mean, yesterday alone, we raised $7,000 for scholarships. Awesome. I mean, in one day event, we raised $7,000 for scholarships. So we're going to give away to seniors graduating in Crenshaw County. Awesome. It's an awesome feeling, man. I mean, I'd love to put on a crappie tournament or something like that.
Hey, you got to plan it. I think Scott's in his truck. It looks like he's about to go in the house. Let's see if we can add him. He just gave me the thumbs up. Hey, Scott,
what's happening, y'all? What's happening?
I told him you're doing some errands.
Lay back.
Sorry about that. My phone got hot. I had it on charge and it got hot when I was, before we went live. And when I pulled it back up, the audio, I couldn't understand anything y'all were saying.
We were laughing because you was frozen and we were sitting there. Everybody, this is Scott Williams right here. Everybody, if you don't know him, he's from Cochran, Georgia. Great guy. He's coming on board and he's going to talk about the Professional Crappie Anglers Association. He's going to go in his house here.
Hey, Shane, before he gets in there, I got to say what he looked like earlier. We had him frozen, and I said he looked like Fred Sanford. He's like, Elizabeth, I'm coming to see you.
Get you, baby.
Awesome. Oh man, let me make this commercial for CT Ward. Hey, we got a great sponsor for the show. Looky here, CT Ward Power Sports. Taylor and Jessica Ward down in Camden. Looky there, they got the brand new Hustler zero turns. Got a yard full of boats, Excel boats, side consoles, center consoles, Hurricane deck boats, Godfrey pontoons. Man, they've been good to me, and they sponsor the show. And I talk to Taylor all the time. He's just a good guy. If you need a nice grass cutting season, give them a holler, guys. It's time to buy a boat too, man. I appreciate them very much. Thank you, Taylor and Jessica Ward. There you go. Let me get these comments going here, guys. Let's see.
Oh, we're going in the ultimate man cave.
Yeah, he's going in there.
Done run me to the
Is Kate feeling better?
Kate is feeling a lot better. She's washing dishes at the moment.
Good for her.
There's
Good for her.
Bride. Wave at him, Marietta.
There's his wife. That's an awesome house.
Hey, we're getting ready for the pool table has turned into a puppy dog patch. My young daughter got a birthday party tomorrow, so my wife's in here decorating.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Somebody talking about the wind here. Oh, Holden Higgs was saying it's windy here in Louisiana. Been blowing for 2 months straight. No kidding. It's been blowing here too, Holden. Like crazy, man. It's unbelievable. That wind this past weekend, it whooped me to death. I ain't gonna lie. It was bad. Hey, Scott, go ahead. Let's talk.
At least y'all got a boat to go fishing with. I ain't got a boat to go fishing with.
We seen the video where you sold your 521.
Man, instant regret. Instant regret.
You're building a what boat are you building? Let's tell everybody what you're building, Scott.
So before I had this 521 and a previous 521, me and Daddy fished out of a Z522, 2009 model, and I just never could bring myself to sell it. That boat, I mean, there's just something about that platform. I can never bring myself to sell it. So it had just been sitting in my shop for, I guess, 3 or 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, one or the other. I'm not real sure.
Right.
Hadn't done it. The carpet had gotten in bad shape on it. I mean, just sitting there, So I took it to Tennessee to Duck River Marine, and they've gone through it, put new carpet in it, pumps. It just kind of rebuilding the boat, really. When it leaves there, it's going straight to Stephen Navarre over at Wetumpka Marine and Electronics.
You're gonna rig it out.
Gonna rig it out.
That's awesome. You putting a 300 on it? What are you putting on it?
Yeah, man, it's got a 300 sitting on the back of it already.
There it is. That's awesome.
Man, those things are mean. When they crank up, that's the meanest sounding thing.
That is an awesome sounding engine.
I bought a the reason I bought the 4-stroke Pro XS before was my boat got rear-ended in Panama City, and I was taking it down there to get wrapped, and a kid rear-ended me, and it messed that motor up, messed the foot up. Well, insurance company paid to have another motor put on it, and I put that new 250 Pro XS on it, and when it cranks up, it sounds like it's ready to jump on somebody. So
they do sound mean, buddy.
Hey, if I could have got a 400 put on the back of it, I'd have put one of them on, and I ain't even gonna lie.
Hey, man, I hear you, buddy. Let's talk about what we came on here a little bit. Scott's got a new crappie league, a Professional Crappie Anglers Association. I guess you set it up this past fall. Let's talk about the tournament coming up this fall, and tell us a little bit about it. And the format. The format was it's a little different. So go ahead and go.
Yeah, it's different, and it's something that we've been working on quite a while. It's been in the thoughts and in the works for probably about a year now. And we wanted something different, Sure. There's already enough just catch, weigh fish, bring them to the scales. We wanted something different, and just really trying to figure out what that is. And I don't know if we've got an answer to it yet or not. We're gonna have a tournament December 6th through 9th at Lake Talquin. It's gonna be a 4-day event, the first 4-day event in crappie fishing that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if that's gonna go over real well or not. I hope it does. I understand, a lot of people got to work, and it's hard to get off for work, kind of between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But that time of year at Lake Talquin is really, really good.
Oh,
and
yeah,
really fun.
They're jumping it.
So, we're going to try it and see. A 4-day event. What's cool about this event is there is a daily big fish winner as well as a daily heaviest bag winner. So if you're not doing, if you bomb days 1 and 2, all right, I need to make a move. I need to do something different. You can still win some good money here. So all you got to do is come in with a really heavy sack on day 3, and there's a prize package for that, a cash prize package for it, as well as a big fish, a daily big fish. We're not just awarding a big fish over the course of the 4-day event.
Okay.
You know, every day there's a big fish, and every day there's a 7 fish weight. You know, whoever brings the heaviest 7 fish sack to the scales, there's a prize package for that. Now here's the kicker. Day one.
Here it comes.
No forward-facing sonar, no live sonar. There's a lot of people, and I'm sure in Alabama as well as Georgia, there's a lot of really, really good fishermen that don't fish tournaments anymore because of live sonar.
Right.
It's just a fact. I love live sonar, but also it breaks my heart for some of these guys that have this really, really good fishermen that just can't compete anymore because of live sonar. And most of these guys are older generation, you know. And that's, you know, that's pretty sad in a way. These guys, you know, they love to fish tournaments, and they just feel like they're not competitive anymore. So day one, no live sonar. Day two, you can use live sonar. Day three, no live sonar. And day four, you can use live sonar. So it's really gonna, you know, bring back the actual, what I call the fisherman aspect of it. A lot of instinct, a lot of you know, trying different things to get a bite, you know, instead of just looking at your screen, putting a jig on a fish's nose. I know that's probably going to turn a lot of people off, or some people off, especially some of the younger guys that really don't know any other technique other than live scope. But I'm hoping that it will draw them in to try to learn another technique besides live scope. You know, if you're out fishing one day and your live scope goes out, what are you going to do? You know,
I've had it happen to me.
You going to go put it on the trailer? You know,
I started beating brush piles again. Hey,
that's right.
Fish, you know.
Hey,
you know, so
Scott, they're going to put the plates back in their boat.
That's right. That's right. So you know, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it brings out a lot of the older guys, a lot of the guys that had about given up on tournament fishing. Now, so also we're going to have an official practice period. Saturday before the tournament, I think. So the tournament starts December 6th. I think it's going to be the 2nd. Is the first official day of practice. So you'll have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to practice. Live scope during practice all you want. That doesn't matter, you know.
That was just a question.
You can use it to figure out your game plan for your non-live scope days. Absolutely, 100%. And another key thing that I think is going to draw a lot of guys into it, hopefully, is the fact that Daryl Van Vactor, who is formerly associated with Crappie USA and run Crappie USA for years and years, one of the, in my opinion, the best tournament directors in the history of crappie fishing, at least since I've been crappie fishing. Very respected guy in our area. He's going to be running the tournaments for us. So I think with him running the tournament, in that alone will bring a lot of guys in.
Yeah, somebody made a comment. Caps and Coleman won't be there. Well, you know they will.
Yes, Steve Coleman is actually going to be there. I don't know about Ronnie Caps. I know Steve is going to fish with Blake Phillips. So you know, and I think that's a good thing. I'm so glad Steve's coming, and I'm hoping his notoriety. I mean, pre-forward facing sonar, pre-live sonar. I mean, they were the best in the business, you know. So I'm hoping people would just come out for anything just to meet Steve.
Well, that's me. You know, I've never set up for trolling. I'll just have to find me somebody set up for trolling. We just have to come after them, you know. Heck,
hey, man, you know, and that time of year at Lake Talquin, and that's one reason we targeted Lake Talquin, is it sets up for spider rigging, trolling. There's docks on Lake Talquin. If you want to go jig brush piles, you know, up in the rivers, lily pads up in the rivers, there's fish everywhere.
You're right.
That time of year. And so really and truly, any technique on the no live scope days, any of them could win. You're only looking for 7 fish, you know.
Hey, I got something, Scott. I mean, I know a lot of guys will have this question, like, when Jessica and I used to, push poles, we pushed old minnow rigs. So what you gonna do, like the six pole, two minnow, or two bait type situation, or
Yeah, probably be just like the old days, 8 poles, 2 baits per pole
eight?
type
Okay,
deal. Yeah.
8. You gonna do 8? Okay.
Yeah.
And then double, 2 hooks per pole.
2 hooks per pole. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That'll be,
So-
man, that's going to be, I mean, people that have never done it, it's going to take them out of their comfort zone. It'll be fun,
It really will, but I hope those people also realize that forward-facing sonar has taken a lot of these older guys,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of these guys that don't have it and can't grasp the concept of it. It's taking them out of their comfort zone, So I'm hoping that they'll realize, all right, so this is a give and take deal. Let's try it,
You're kind of mixing and matching. I mean, that's, everybody's got a fighting chance. You get somebody control very well, or spider.
I got something fun to ask Scott, and he'll like this one. Imagine having those rear trolling motors going downwind back when you had all those poles out the front.
Boy, hey, I'm gonna tell you, if somebody would have thought about that years ago in those shallow Florida lakes or Grenade, I tell you, somebody who did think about it. I think, and I may be wrong, but I'm gonna say Terry Stewart is the pioneer of those trolling motors on the back of the boat. He's the first one that I ever seen it, and this was before Live Scope came out at Grenada Lake. He had the foresight of getting the noise of the trolling motor as far away from the fish as he could. I'm going to say now he may have gotten an idea from somebody else, but he's the first person that I ever seen with it. And then you were like, what the heck's he doing?
Yeah. He's like, I got my logging chains thrown out.
Exactly. But, if you could have done that, say on Lake Woodruff or, down there in Florida, in those shallow lakes in Florida, tell them how many more fish you'd have caught,
Hey, total off the subject question. Big Daddy Lawler put out a post today. I know you know a lot about logging woods, and I used to cruise timber with my uncle. He put out a picture today. It's probably a 22-inch white oak and a cherry bark oak growing out the same stump. Have you ever?
Wow.
So
that's a red oak species and a white oak species growing out the same stump.
Come out the same. You need to go. Big Daddy. That
yeah. Scott does.
Yeah, you need to look at it, Scott.
Yeah,
you would appreciate it, Scott. I did because I cruised timber with my uncle, and I saw it. I was like, wow, you don't ever see something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty odd. And two, white oak being the best grading alba, Quercus alba being the best grading white oak species there is, and cherry bark being the best grading red oak species there is. So that's pretty wild.
Hey, would you if you were cruising timber, would you put that within your plot, or you throw that out?
I'd probably kick that one out. There ain't 10 more of those on that acre.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be a no tally.
So you're gonna, So this thing's gonna take place for 4 days. You're talking about, Scott.
4 days, yeah. And you're gonna look. A lot of people, a lot of tournaments now are doing cuts, and I like the idea of cutting a tournament. But
wish I could find that picture. Of that
for this one, look here. I got old Charlie boy. He's wanting to join in on us. Y'all see Charlie?
Oh yeah.
For this one, we're not going to cut the field. The tournament's going to be 100% payback. It's going to be a $750 entry fee, and I just don't want to take up 4 days of someone's time, or really 5 days if you count in practice, of a team coming down fishing an event, and after day 2 or day 3, tell them they can't fish anymore. Take it away from them. So, especially with the format of they can catch a really big bag one day and still win a lot of money, or they can catch a really big fish one day and still win a lot of money. I just don't want to do that. So, I want everybody to be able to fish every day of the event.
That'll be a lot of fellowship there, because nobody.
I think so.
Go home, and I think that's a cool tournament, man. I put a lot of thought into that thing.
I put a lot of thought into it. I've got a lot of good ideas, and I want to be honest with you. It's all going to boil down to participation. Going to have participation for it to really take off. I think there's an opportunity here for sponsors to get on board, because let's face it, I'm sure B&M and Genco and everybody else tell you, long rods, trolling rods aren't a hot topic right now, and they've still got all that in their inventory. Kate, please stop that, honey.
Yeah.
You know, they want to push those rods, and I think we could help do that.
Well, you can revive a lot of people that, you know, there's people that, you know, they don't cast very well, don't read live scope very well, and they've never had the opportunity to get into that. So, and it's I'm not saying it's a lost art, but it's just not talked about a lot.
That's right.
You know,
it is. You know, there's a generational gap between people that's just now getting into, and I call it a generational gap. It's really not a generation, but you know, guys like I feel like I'm very blessed in the fact that I was still young enough to grasp the forward-facing sonar and be halfway successful with it. But I can also still long line troll or spider rig and feel like I can compete with the best of them doing that. You know, so and there's not a whole lot of people really and truly. I say there is, but they're not fishing tournaments anymore that can do both. Right. And I'm wanting to open the doors. So look, there's a lot more to crappie fishing than looking at a screen all day. I love the live scope as much as anybody, and believe me, I'm going to hate not to be able to turn my live scope on days 1 and 3 of that event. But I also know that I can go fishing and still catch a good 7 fish limit,
right?
Or I feel like I can, and you know, and I want other people to be able to do that, you know, and I think, you know, the Drift Masters and your Millenniums and all those guys, you know, I feel like the market needs that to help push their products. I mean, you don't see a whole lot of rod holders on boats anymore, and I get it, you know, but I'd still love to see that aspect to it.
Well, Scott, a good example, you know, as far as like pushing their technology, or excuse me, their product in. You know, if you fish Crappie USA now, I don't know if you might want to push something like this, but I think Driftmaster it is. You get a bonus if you got the Driftmaster rod holders on the boat.
That's right.
I'm sure they'll compliment you the same way with what you're pushing.
I would hope so. I haven't contacted them yet, but I would hope that they would. I would hope. I mean, there's no other tournament trail pushing or stipulating. Look, you're going to have to go back to you can either steal single pole, but you can't use your forward-facing sonar, or we're going long line troll or spider rig. There's no other tournament trail doing that. Now, I don't know if it's going to work. There's only one way to find out. I think for Georgia people, a few Alabama people, and a few South Carolina people, and some Florida people, they like that. But now, will it work across the country? You know, I don't know. But we're not targeting everybody across the country. We're wanting to focus this thing in the Southeast. And build it. And I'll tell you another thing that I hope to do, and I probably shouldn't even say this because people are going to say, oh, he said this was going to be the way it was. It's not the way it is. It's in the works, people. Right. I want y'all to understand that. I would love to see a classic that is a no entry fee event. You know, you fish and qualify. And I don't know, I have yet to figure out how to do it. There's going to have to be a lot of sponsorship involved. And it's going to be very hard to do it paying back 100% of the pot. You know, but if I can figure out a way to do it, if this thing takes off and grows, I would love to figure out how to have a no entry fee classic. I just think that's, you know, for guys that support your trail throughout the year and is there and they qualify, you know, that's a way to give back to them a little bit. You know, I want this thing to be for the fishermen and for the people, not necessarily. I'm not making a salary out of it. Daryl is doing this very cheap, in my opinion. You know, donating his time to come run this thing. It's almost like a charity thing for him, I think, because he's been in the business so long. He's just doing it because I asked him, would he help me do it? He's retired. So nobody is trying to make any money out of this. We're all trying to give it back to the fishermen.
So, so I got a question for you, Scott. Like, you know, as an angler, this fish tournaments, so they come to live well check that morning on the non-facing, you know, sonar days. What's going to be the stipulations? You know, everybody's not going to want to take their transducer off their trolling motor shaft. So
That's right.
are we going? Is it going to be, you know, we'll take that unit off the boat, or is it going to be where hey, you know, you can't do this today? I mean, most of you know, everybody's good in our community about, you know, doing the right thing. Is that what it's going to be, or, you know?
Well, it's going to be, you know, I'm going to ask everybody just to unplug. Don't take it off. Just unplug it.
You can always take some tape, some red tape, take the end of their power wire and turn them loose.
You know, yeah, just unplug it. And so the top 3 guys that's in the at the end of the day, they'll be polygraphed. You know, that's the only way really. You know, some people, all they have is Garmin, or all they have is you know, Lowrance units, you know, up front. So I'm not going to ask them to take their units off. I will ask them just to unplug that forward-facing transducer.
Right. That's
and if you've got a good bag at the end of the day, and I hope you do, you're going to be subjected to a polygraph test.
That's fair. That's just fair. I mean, you know, you got the subject to win a big fish every day in a heavy bag every day.
That's right.
So like you said, and they're not cutting the field, so
That's right.
Awesome. It'd be awesome, man. That's good. Y'all, I was gonna tell everybody, I can go ahead and start adding some questions, guys, in the comments, and I'll catch up with you while Scott's talking about this crappie league.
And it's gonna, I mean, to get this thing going and to keep it in the Southeast, we're gonna have to have participation. That's the bottom line. If you're gonna get sponsorship money, you gotta have participation. Nobody's gonna sponsor a 20-boat tournament. You know, that's not gonna happen. You know, if the anglers want to start fishing for real money, you know, $15,000, $20,000 first place prizes, you're going to have participation. The sponsors will come, but they also want to know that the anglers are willing to be there and put their part of the money up too. And that's the same, not only sponsorship, that's the same with these chambers of commerce, these CVBs. They're not going to give money to a trail to come and nobody's that showing up. You know, they give thousands of dollars and nobody's spending money with them. You know, nobody's buying hotel rooms with them. You know, they want to see a return on their investment.
You and your daddy have seen it more. I mean, as much as anybody has, and you know what they want. You know, those chamber of commerces, they want to see that return on investment.
That's right, and that's why I'll tell you. And there's no way for these guys really to know what's going to, how it's going to affect. But the Alabama River, when the Crappiemasters first went to Alabama River, and I went down there, I got hooked.
They broke the record there one time, didn't they?
Oh yeah. So like when we first started going to Alabama River. So I didn't make the first one. My uncle, he was in the hospital. He was in the process of dying. So we didn't make the first one. And, but the second one we made, the first one, I forget how many teams had like 14 pounds. I mean, it was stupid at the fish that was caught. And the second and third one was like that. After a while, I don't know what happened. But it just seemed like we just could never hit it right, you know, ever again, really. And didn't have a lot of good weights until I think 2017, maybe. It was the year that Eric and Wade won it, but they won it on Jordan.
Yeah.
You know, they had two really big days on Jordan. I had the highest weight off of the river, and I had a 3-pounder that weekend as well. And it was just, I mean, just stupid weights, But, you know, for a Chamber of Commerce, they put money out, and they were getting money back for years. I bought a place on Lake Jordan just so I'd have somewhere to stay when I go over there to fish. You know, and when I say I bought a place, let me clarify. I bought a camper. Me and Eric and my dad bought a camper.
I remember you telling us that.
So,
somebody's asking the question, Scott, where are you looking at hosting some tournaments besides if Talcon goes well and there's a big show out. Where are you thinking about moving some of those tournaments?
So we're looking at Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee.
Okay, right here in the Southeast.
Southeast,
Right.
And let's face it, I mean, other than the National Crappie League, and they're new, and there seems to have a little bit of interest of having some tournaments in the Southeast. Crappiemasters, it seems that the only tournament they're wanting to have is at Astor. And you still have a few Crappie USA tournaments in the Southeast, but our tournaments for us are for national events, big events. We're going to have to drive 8-10 hours, one way, and that's just not feasible for me anymore. So, and I love to compete. I want to compete, and I want to compete against some of the best, and actually compete for some good money. So, nobody else is doing it, so I just like. We'll try.
You don't ever know. You got plenty of time. You got till December to plug it up and, and start pre-registering for people. Like there's a lot of people here. Hey, going old school. There's some comments in here.
So we're working on our website. We hope to have our website up and running in 2 weeks. We've already got our domain name. That'll be fishpcaa.com. Is the domain name. And, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into lining everything up, doing the legal work for the, the incorporation and all of that, getting all of that stuff done. So getting a trailer, getting scales, getting a PA system, everything. There's a lot of work going into it, that the money's got to come from somewhere. And unfortunately right now it's coming from me personally. So, but I don't mind. As long as this thing takes off, I just want another avenue for us to fish.
It's an interesting format. I mean, like I said, your first initial thought was, "Frick, I don't want to troll," and then you're like, "Hold on, just a second, you're gonna do." You're gonna sit there and say, "You don't have to troll. You just can't use your sonar, for 2 days out of the 4, and you're not gonna cut the field down. So you got a chance to catch a big fish every day or a big bag,
That's right. That's exactly right. It's the same for everybody. I mean, everybody's playing by the same rules. Everybody's fishing the same water. It's a tournament. Somebody's going to win it,
Scott, I got a good example of what people can do. Everybody thinks that can you take that live forward-facing sonar away? People that can steal a side image and come over a mark and throw that buoy marker out, they can fish their butts off, casting to that buoy marker they put over, over something with down imaging. They ain't got to be pushing poles or trolling, or they can still cast to that.
That's what y'all. Hey, you might as well go into detail about this, because I watched a YouTube video with Scott. He was side scanning docks at Eufaula. He didn't have to look in there he knew exactly where the fish were.
Yeah.
He had his live scope on, but he just started firing away and catching them.
Yeah,
talk a little bit about that stuff.
Just because forward-facing sonar is taken away, that doesn't mean you got to push poles or pull or whatever. You can still catch plenty of fish.
Exactly. I was telling, me and Eric was talking the other day, and Eric and we talk 3 or 4 times a week. And I told him, I said, Mega 360 is fixing to be back on my boat. That's not live sonar. That's the closest thing to it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be back on my boat, and two, that, I don't know. I've always felt like me and Daddy were well versed in any technique we were trying to fish, back when it was, when we won the Angler Team of the Year, you had to fish a single pole event. Everybody always thought of me and Daddy as pushing and pulling. Well, I've always shot docks. I've always been a decent dock shooter. I've always felt like I could jig timber or jig brush piles as good as anybody, and those tournaments allowed us to showcase that a little bit. And because we did so well in those tournaments, it allowed us to win Angler Team of the Year one year. So, and we've placed in the top 5 for 3 or 4 years there in the Angler Team of the Year points race. So, it's just another technique. It's just something else you can do. If you're out fishing one day and your live scope goes out, what are you going to do?
I've had it happen. I was down there, and what it was is the power wire where I had the wire nut on there. It broke loose, and I couldn't figure it out. Heck, I went up to the top, started walking my jig down the top, started picking up fish. I just went down the bank. It didn't ruin the trip, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't
go
panic
fish.
unless that's all you're just a one-dimensional fisherman.
That's right.
You know, you just. But like I said, there's a lot of people that watch this show that don't have live scope, and there's a lot of people that ask questions. You know, hey, if I don't have live scope, what I do? Hey, learn to read your side imaging as well as you can. Mark fish, get some buoys like we all used to. It hasn't been 6, 7, 8 years ago. That's what we're all doing.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. I still love to soak a minnow over a brush pile. I mean, it's just something about it that's just. I mean, it's just fun. I mean,
right.
It's just fun fishing.
Right. You know, one of the sponsors of the show, Taylor Ward, he don't have a graph on none of his boats. You know, he's just out there dropping a minnow, you know, on some tops, and he'll catch his dozen fish and go home. He enjoys that, you know.
Hey, Scott, earlier, well, this past year, my little boy, he caught probably the biggest crappie I ever seen come off a lake around here, a 17-inch whitefish. And I had one stump that was holding big fish. And I told him, I said, buddy, I'm saving this for you. And I'd flip a minnow out there. He caught a 16, and he caught another 16. And then that dang 17 coming in. Oh, boy, you know. And I got it all on video is what made it so special.
I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, something about watching that cork, it takes you back to your childhood, you know. Yeah. It's special.
Oh, goodness.
It does. I love it, man. Fish are on cypress trees at my home lake, and pitching a cork and a minnow up against those cypress trees and watching. I mean, that's just. I'd rather look at that cork just as much as I had look at a screen. So,
hey, I'll tell you, I found a brim bed the other day off the Alabama River. I was side scanning driving in, and hey, you think I'm not going to get some corks and some red worms and go back there next month? You're crazy.
Yeah,
that's some fun fishing. I mean, you can't. It's just fun fishing. I mean, you can't get too serious. You know, you can't get too serious with this stuff. So.
When is the next full moon? I mean,
I don't even know.
You know, this everything's gonna be on bed. I mean, the way
what was it, like the 15th of last month? So it's got to be sometime in.
No, I think it was I think it was either the 8th or 9th of last month was the full moon. We were there for the Alabama River for the NCL.
That's right.
March
saying that
5th and 6th, I think. And that moon, when I was going to Swift Creek that morning, that moon is what changed my mind.
It may be close to Good Friday, Scotty. Looking at
Scott, you got all right. You already mentioned it. You got to tell a story about the big fish. I wasn't gonna say anything, but you mentioned.
Oh, you're talking about the last one from the NCL.
Go ahead and
tell everybody. I forget we done a podcast with Big Daddy Lawler and Getting Outdoors show.
Here,
I'll tell everybody. You want to hear this story? This is one of the best stories. Go ahead and talk about y'all's tournament.
Well, so the inaugural National Crappie League held its first event on the Alabama River. And so the first day we were in 5th place.
I'm going to we had while you're talking.
We had a good weight. We had 987, I believe. So we were right there, you know, almost had a 2-pound average. 5 fish. Yeah, this is 5-fish event, not a 7-fish event. And we were in 5th place. We were a couple pounds back. Man, Scott Mitchell and his wife and Aaron Knight, they had a dang sack day 1 and day 2. I mean, they had some really good fish. I think Aaron had 1182 or 86. I don't really remember what he had. And then Scott and his wife had 1160 something. So both of them had like some hammers.
Scott, you know? I thought Aaron had you. I ain't gonna lie. I thought Aaron had you.
I thought he did too. Even up until I'm looking at the scales, expecting those scales to go to like 940, 950. And I watched Aaron take his fish. I was standing beside his boat when he took his fish out of the live well, putting them in the bag. I'm like, man, that's some good fish. And it was good fish. You know, 874 on 5 fish, that's pound 3/4 fish. That's a dang good fish. And, but, you know, so day 2 rolls around and Jacob and I already had our game plan set, what we were going to do. And I leave Cooter's Pond, and I don't know none of the highway names over there, but I'm going to Swift Creek. And as I'm going to Swift Creek, that moon is directly in front of me, and the sucker looks like it's the size of Texas, and it's just glowing. And I'm like, Jacob, I said, that moon is big, it's bright. That water was hot yesterday. Those fish are going to be coming in those creeks. They're leaving that river. They want to push up. I said, I know it's early, but there's going to be a wave of fish coming. And I said, let's just abandon ship on plan A, and let's just start in Swift Creek. We had fished Swift Creek day one and actually made a small call and caught some decent fish in there. So I was comfortable fishing there. I wasn't worried about not catching any fish. I was kind of worried about catching big fish. But I said, let's let the sun get high and position the fish on the docks, where we can really get to them. And because it didn't take us long to fish our docks at all. There wasn't but four docks that we really wanted to hit. And I felt like Aaron was probably hitting one of them. And I didn't think he was probably hitting the other ones because of where they were, how far away they were. I felt like I was safe with those. But one of them I was pretty sure Aaron was probably hitting. And it turned out that he was. But I said, let's just start in Swift, let the sun get high, and then we'll run our dock pattern. And so we did. And so there's one or two more boats started in Swift with us. And there was the channel kind of got close to the bank in Swift, and there was a dock there. Y'all, I have fished Swift Creek. I can't tell you how many times. I've never noticed this dock before. And I told Jacob, I said, man, dang, I ain't never noticed that dock. I said, there might be a fish under that dock. Let's go check that out. And so we go over there, and it was dark, just before we could start fishing, and there wasn't anything under it. So I spin the boat out to the right, going back towards the actual creek channel, and I see a brush pile, and it had like 5 fish sitting right on top of that brush pile. I told Jacob, I said, man, power pole us down. And this is probably like at 5:45. We can start fishing at 6:30. It's
right.
just now starting to crack day. I'm listening for turkeys to start gobbling, all this stuff. And, I'm just sitting there, and every once in a while, I got to look back over there. I call it shining. I got to shine back on that brush pile, make sure the fish ain't leaving, And so I'm always kicking my transducer back to the right. One time I kicked it to the left. Dang, there's another brush pile right there. And there's some fish on it too. And so we were power poled down like 30 feet from this brush pile.
That's crazy.
And I'm sitting there praying the whole time, Lord, please don't let these fish leave this brush pile when it gets daylight.
Please stay.
Yeah, I'll be good, I promise. And so it gets daylight, gets time to fish, and sure enough, we catch every one of them off both the brush piles. And we're sitting there on 5 fish. I'm guessing maybe 7.5, 8 pounds on 5 fish when we
These
leave
are
the
pound
brush
60,
pile.
70 fish, right?
Do what now?
These are pound 60, 70, 80 fish, right?
A pound and a half fish, 130s, 40s, 50s, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And so after we catch all of them, and I told Jacob, I said, let's go back and look at that dock again. It's done got daylight. One might be done eased up under it. And so we go back to it. Sure enough, there's one sitting there. Jacob shoots under there, catches. It's like a 187, something like that. So that's our first, what I consider tournament fish of the day. And so we catch that fish and just kind of go back out and hit the creek channel. And I'm just going in and out of the creek channel, up on stumps. I know there's a lot of stumps in Swift Creek that holds fish. And we catch another 1 3/4 fish. And now I'm got my trolling motor. I'm a little different than everybody. I run my trolling motor wide open when I'm scanning, and I'm scanning a long ways out, 120, 140 feet. And so I'm panning back and forth wide open, just, running wide open. And I don't know how I missed this stump, but I didn't see it till I was like 20, 25 foot away from it. There's 2 fish sitting right on top of it. So I'm hitting my brakes. I'm mashing that button, trying to push it through the floor of the boat, trying to stop. And I'm getting to that point where let off and just coast over them and turn around. Or, am I going to stop? You're at that point where you got to make a decision what you're going to do. And so I just stayed on them, felt like, all right, I'm going to stay on them. And when the boat stopped, it was directly under my trolling motor. So I dropped the jig down, caught the first fish. It was like a 156, I think. And I'm just sitting there. I'm not unhooking the fish. I'm just trying to be quiet, trying not to drop anything on the floor, because I'm thinking this other fish, he's close. You know, I saw the fish move when that fish bit, but I don't really know where he's at. And so I pan to the left, and I'm still not sure if it's the same fish, but there's a fish sitting there. And I tell Jacob, I said, Jacob, there's a freaking giant. I mean, like, this fish is twice the size of the fish I just caught, and it's a 1.5 pound fish.
Right.
You know? And I mean, it's a big one. And Jacob makes the perfect cast over there to it. The National Crappie League has since they posted the video of us catching that fish. And I don't know if y'all could tell by the video, but I knew it was a big one on there, you know, from what I was saying.
Well, here, hey,
but
I found it right here, guys. Look, go ahead and finish telling your story.
Yeah, I think I said I knew it about 75 times, you know.
There it is.
But yeah, that's a big fish. So I immediately we had to send in updates to the tournament director, Jeremy Mattingly, as we were, you know, he wanted to know what we were catching and what we were doing, because he was on the water with the camera crew. And so I'm sending him updates. You know, I've done tournaments, all right, we've got 8 pounds or whatever it was we had. I don't remember now, but, you know, I remember I didn't think I texted him as quick. I thought we had weighed the fish, took a picture of it, put it in the live well, started back fishing. But in the video, you can see, like, the fish is in the net. And I'm like, we just caught a hammer. You know, we just caught a big one.
Yeah, I mean, hey, here's the fish again. What did this fish weigh, Scotty?
362.
3 pounds, 62.
Yeah, 6,200 of another pound.
3.5 pounds, right?
Yeah, over 3.5 pounds. I did not know, and I'll be honest with you guys, I did not know it was going to be, you know, I didn't know it was a 3 pound fish. I just knew it was a big fish.
Jeez.
So,
Scott, one day I want us to. I think I know maybe that there's one stump in there that always holds monster. And one day I'm just going to ask you when we're together off all this, and you just tell me no, or if you don't say anything, I'll know. And
That's an awesome story. For you to be right there, you know, and then stop on top of it. And, you know, I've looked at that video several times after you posted. There was another 3 pounder caught on video. They posted. I seen it on your page.
Yeah, there was another 3 pound fish caught that weekend. You know, and two, I told Jacob on day one, we were talking, you like, we need a kicker fish. You know, we done hit I knew that we left good fish on our docks. We'd only caught like 1 or 2 fish, and we would leave them. I wouldn't shoot back under there. And so I'm not wanting to burn our holes day one, you know, so I'm trying to save something. And I told Jacob, get down, Ellie. Get down, baby. I told Jacob, I said, you know, out of everywhere up and down this river, from Montgomery to the dam, I said, to catch a big fish, you know, when I'm saying a big fish, a fish over 2 pounds, you know, getting, you know, a trophy class fish. I said, Swift Creek, there's been more caught out of Swift Creek than anywhere else up down this river that I'm aware of. I said, so let's go to Swift Creek and see if we can catch a big fish. We saw 3 or 4 really big fish on day one of the event. We couldn't get them to bite. And, you know, it was just luck. I mean, really and truly, you know, just to have what made that thought come into my mind on the way to the boat ramp, you know, it's just.
That's just your gut, man.
Just instinct. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's just fishing instinct, you know.
Right.
To go there and start there, and it just worked out. We could have easily bombed, but it worked out that day.
You catch it on a hand tie or plastic there, Scotty?
We actually caught it on an ATX custom color.
I got you. I
Yep.
never asked you that before. I wasn't sure.
I mean, people don't realize the luck that goes into winning something.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's, you know, I say luck, but I mean that a lot of times you make your own luck.
That's
exactly right.
You know, yeah, you're fishing against somebody you have no idea what they're thinking or anything like that. But, you know, a lot of times you make your own luck too, you know.
Well, yeah, everything's got to go right for you, and you know, and you get your knowledge and some luck.
That's right. If that fish doesn't bite, we don't win.
That's right.
Plain and simple. We had, you know, that fish was the key to us winning that event.
Yeah, that's a giant. There was a lot of big fish caught there. I talked to Scott Mitchell, you know, pre-fishing, and I talked to him, and he was telling me, hey, man, you know, I'm catching some fish. You know, these 2-pound fish. I'm like, really? You know, and I said, man, that's awesome. He was on fish. It sounded like everybody was on great fish. They just tell you how fertile that Alabama River is. You know,
I know. And I'll say this: I felt like my experience on that river over the years played into that a little bit. That river can be a stingy son of a gun.
Oh yeah.
You know, to put 2 good days together on the actual river, good luck. You know, and I know that. So
a lot of people don't realize Aaron is probably in tune with that river as anybody is. You know,
he's right there.
When you beat Aaron Knight on that river, you've done something. You know,
yeah,
because you know that he's there and he knows it all the time. I mean, Scott, when you're coming over, you're fishing, you know, from way away, but you got enough time on it that you fished it a good bit, and so was Eric and other people. But Aaron's good on it. You know?
Aaron's very good on it. Aaron's a very good fisherman. It don't matter where he goes. He's good.
Right. He's diligent, man. He, you know, when I met him, you know, you just think, but he's diligent. He fishes, buddy.
I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know this, but if I had any sense at all, I'd have a national championship trophy on my mantle when it came to the Alabama River in 2011. We were leading after day 1, and day 2 we panicked. I'd caught a fish. I'd caught a fish out of a brush pile, and she was hooked deep. And that fish bellied up, and we panicked. If I could go back and do it all over again, I would have just threw that fish out. Just threw it away. Just threw it back in the river and forgot about her. We had 7 fish. During that event, you couldn't leave the ramp with more than 7 fish. So when you got back to the boat ramp, you had to throw all your fish back, but the 7 fish you're going to weigh. So it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock. You know, we're freaking out. I got a fish dying. Oh, I got to have it in my mind. I got to have this fish, you know. Really and true. I didn't have to have that fish. Just put your head down and fish. I had so many brush piles marked that I could have caught just went to it and caught another big fish out of. But no, we panicked. And so we left early, was going to go weigh them in. And so on the way to weigh in, we're getting inside of our heads and talking. Well, we decided we're just going to weigh 4 in. We're going to go back out there and catch 3 more.
Oh, goodness.
If I'd have just weighed the 7 I had, you know, odds are we'd have won the event. But no, I didn't do that.
Oh,
so we go back, and on the ride back, we were going to put in a different ramp. And the ride back killed the 3 fish that we kept. We get back out there, the wind's blowing like crazy. We can't stay back on the rush. We don't catch another fish. So we weigh in 4 fish for day 2. And just you talking about somebody sick, you know, that one, I still lay in bed at night thinking about that tournament, knowing that tournament was mine.
You had the fish to weigh in.
We had them.
Oh, man.
I mean, we had them at 9:30 that morning. And so my national championship trophy sitting on somebody else's mantle, and that buddy, that'll eat it.
This is 2011, way before Live Scope. I mean,
yeah.
Got on my question. Everybody's got the little tricks of the trade. You know, you got a fish that's hooked deep, or
this is a very good tip. Talk about this.
Getting poor on you. We got our little trick we do, but you and your daddy been doing it longer than anybody, or not longer than anybody, but a long time. Y'all got a fish that's not acting right. I know, you know, everybody's got little tricks. Tell us what y'all do.
Well, what I found that works best for me. Now somebody may argue with me and tell me I'm doing it wrong, but I found to work best for me in the morning when I get into the water. Now, not near the boat ramp, not where there's a lot of, gas and oil in the water. But when I get to where I'm fishing, I fill my live wells up and I plug them off. I cool the water down to I want to get it about 65, 66 degrees, and I pour G-juice in it. And then I put air to it. I used to run pure oxygen, but I found that I would get a little carried away with oxygen, and I'd fry the gills a little bit. So I quit using pure oxygen. It was kind of aggravating keeping the bottle and the regulators and your diffusers and all that. So I just started running Mr. Bubbles in there. And if I catch a big fish, if that fish is hooked deep, I just cut the line, put a weight on the anal fin of that fish, and just put him in the live well and leave him alone. Don't mess with him. Just let him be. If the fish lives, great. If the fish dies, throw him in the water and go back to fishing. Get him out of your live well, throw him in the lake, or put him in a cooler somewhere away from your live fish, and just go back to fishing. There's nothing. I found out the only thing that I can worry about is the variables that I can control, and the variables that I can't control, don't worry about them. I do everything I can do to keep that fish alive. If that fish dies, he dies. Forget about him. Catch another one.
Yeah, do you clean your live wells before tournaments? Do you clean them good?
Yeah, you need to keeping your live well clean is very important.
What do you clean yours with, Scott?
Just water. I'll just get in there and scrub it with water. If it's a long time before a tournament, I know I'm gonna be running a lot of water through my live well. I may put a little Clorox in there, but I'm not gonna put a Clorox in my live well the night before an event.
Right.
I'm not doing that, but I'll just fill it up with water, get in there and scrub it out real good, let all that water out, fill it back up, flush it, 2 or 3 times, and then fish. But you don't want to have a dirty live well for sure.
Right. You're just getting that algae and any ammonia gas where a fish has died.
That's
People
right.
don't realize, like, if you fun fish and you tournament fish also, if you let a bunch of fish die in your live well, that gas sticks to the side walls of that live well.
Scott,
for sure.
Scott, we fished the state championship last year. We were pulling those fish up from 31, 32 feet. So you can know, you fish Dale Hall, or if anybody's fished deep, like Dale Hall or something like that, their stomach will start popping out in their gullet, right?
Yep.
And we put weights on those fish and just kept the water cold, and we kept them alive for weigh-in. But what I was going to say about what you were talking about, like keeping them alive when they start bleeding, if you'll take that G-juice and just pour it on where the wound is, it'll clot immediately.
Yeah.
Somebody told me. I seen somebody talking about that. I fish with guys that say they use 7-Up and do it, but I heard that G-juice.
Right. Or G-juice, it immediately. When we did it the other day, I would never have believed it. The fish was bleeding. No, he hooked it in the upper part of the gill, and it was bleeding like crap. And I poured that stuff in there off the side of the boat because I didn't want to get the blue stuff all over my boat. And immediately it clotted. And we put it in a live well and we weighed the fish in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else. George Parker taught me. And for any of you guys that know George Parker, he could use all the prayers he could get right now. He's literally in a fight for his life. He's not doing great. But George Parker taught me that just a cap full of hydrogen peroxide will increase the oxygen content in a live well, 100 times over.
It's another. It's another bubble.
Yep.
Yep.
So George taught me that. As a matter of fact, I don't know who was upset worse, me or George, when he found out what happened to us in that national championship. It made him sick for us. And he was telling me what he does and how he keeps his fish alive and all of that. But George taught me that deal with hydrogen peroxide, and just a little bit goes a very long way with that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about just a cap full maybe to your live well? What are you
just
saying?
A cap full to your live well. Yeah. So if you're if you have minnows and your battery runs dead in your bubble or whatever, if you have some peroxide, just a cap full of peroxide, put it in your minnow water.
Our bait shop here, when he gives you your minnows, he puts a cap full in every bait cooler he sends out.
That's cool.
And
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I've seen people. John, you freeze Coke bottles and Gatorade bottles. You do the same thing, Scott, putting your live well when you're cooling.
No, I just pour ice in there because the G-Juice takes out all the chlorine or anything.
There you go. Okay, so you don't have to worry about any of that no more.
Yeah. So, and guys, I'll be honest with you. I think it says, was it 3 ounces per 30 gallons, or I forget now how much it is. I buy it by the half gallon, and I like kablook, and I put it out. I'm pouring 8 or 10 ounces in there.
Hey,
Scott, we had a little. All right, I gotta let Jessica tell a story because she hadn't said. We a couple years ago was our first chance. Our first year of fishing tournaments, and we had 2 fish die. At the national championship.
Y'all at Ouachita, wasn't you? Were you in Louisiana or where?
No, all right.
Starbone, there it was.
That was the first day of it, and we had an aluminum boat, and we had 2 live wells in it, and I had not cut the front live well off, so it was spraying, our ice that was in the back live well the whole time I was filling the live well, and it ruined our temperature in the back live well where we were going to keep fish. And the second day we were there, and we lost 2 fish the first day. There was this little boy who was fishing with his daddy. He said, "Why do our fish look blue?" I said, "Son," "those fish are alive." I said, "We poured so much G-Juice in there." I said, "They were dying."
That's about how my live well water looks.
Yeah, but I'm going to let Jessica tell the story about how we went to a cooler versus live well. Go ahead. Just tell what happened. You don't want to tell the story?
No.
The first day? No, the first day we lost 2 fish, and you said we won't ever do this again. So there when we start researching, how to build. She doesn't really like to talk on the thing. She likes to smile and give pointers to anybody. Anyway, so we lost 2 fish, and that was our first year ever fishing tournaments. And we were fortunate enough to we're angler team of the year for the state of Alabama, which was great. And it was a tournament trail for the state of Alabama. But we went to the national championship, and we had, we were trying so hard because it was our first year doing anything, and we get to weigh in, and we got 2 fish floating, and that's. Scott, it's the worst feeling in the world. And she was about.
I was in tears.
She was back there just.
Well, you work your butt off, and then you.
Yeah. We wouldn't have won anything, but it had been more respectable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
never again.
She said never again.
That was my worst, Jessica. After that national champion, I said this will never happen to me again.
Well, that's a hard lesson, like you do all that pre-fishing, you do all that study, you do all this thought process at night.
Yeah.
You're sitting there,
If you got an aluminum boat, it's gonna heat up when it's hot.
Oh, no doubt. And
we lost 2 good fish, and that first day would have kept us. We'd been in the top 50. And the second day we did even better, so we would have been respectable rather than what we were.
Right.
And luckily she had kept us 2 more that stayed alive, and we were able to drag those in. And that was also all right. So here's another tip, guys: if you're gonna fish a tournament, get you a rolling cooler with some way to put some kind of oxygen in that rolling cooler. Scott, tell them. A lot of times you have to walk a long way from where you park your boat to where you weigh in.
Yep. Long ways.
Yeah. The tiniest bit problems, by the time you tote that cooler, it's going to be really bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
For sure.
Here's somebody got a good question here. Corey Williams, a buddy of mine. While we're sitting here thinking about it, he said, following school in crappie right now on Bankhead. I talked to him yesterday. Any advice on boat control and farming? Drift with them, get in front of them, behind them? How you do it, Scott?
Well, if possible, I want to be, and this is perfect case scenario, obviously, but if I could keep the nose of my boat pointed into the wind, that's going to be easiest to control the boat, obviously. But you can't always do that. But I'd probably prefer to stay just a little bit behind them, prefer than getting like right on top of them and drifting with them, or trying to get in front of them. Because really, I mean, honestly, you really don't know where they're going unless there ain't but one way for them to go. But I'd probably rather chase them than I had try to cut them off. Honestly.
Right. I know the fish he's talking about. I seen him yesterday. There's about 30 or 40 fish schools, and they're just running. They're wide open in that creek.
If you can get dead behind them, it's a lot easier to put a bait in front of them than it is to the side.
Yeah.
You're right behind them. It's like at Grenada. If you're chasing a fish, it's easy. It's easy. If you get right behind that fish, you aggravate them until they do something for you.
That's a whole different animal over yonder, buddy.
I have a ring,
different.
Jane.
What's that?
Pen.
My pen? Hey, it's right here. They made me put my pen down. Hey, Scott, we done a show a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting here clicking my pen. I'm just sitting there clicking away.
They wouldn't say anything to Shane. I had like 3 or 4 people contact me and like, "Can you?"
Hey man, take the pen away from me.
Yeah.
Hey, it's sitting way over here.
Hey, it's that nerve. I do the same thing. It's nervous energy.
It is,
man.
My
legs jumping up and down.
It's easy to talk about crappie. I mean, especially with people like y'all, you can just sit there and talk about it. It's just nervous energy, wanting to keep doing it, man. We've been going an hour. If y'all got some questions, you might as well pick Scott's brain. There's still 60 people on here. So
hey, I'd love for people to ask me about the tournament we got coming up.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get that.
Guys,
I'm going to get the word out on that.
If y'all
Scott,
are just tuning in, he's been over earlier in the show. He's got a new crappie tournament platform.
So Scott, you said that the website's going to come out in the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
All right. So then I guess the format and everything will come out when you put the website out.
That's right. The format will come out then. The rules will be on there. And basically, we've gone over a lot of tournament trails rules and talking with Daryl. And guys, I've leaned heavily on Daryl Van Vactor in a lot of this just because, I mean, I know the angling side of it, the fishing side of it. Daryl knows the directing of the tournament, organizing the tournament side of it, and all that good stuff. So I've leaned heavily on him. So we've taken some rules, some ideas of rules from all the organizations and tried to come up with our own a little bit. But I'll tell you this, you will be able to have a youth in the boat. Just say, if me and Daddy's fishing and Kate wants to fish with us, then yes,
that's awesome.
That kid is allowed to be in the boat.
So the name of this league is Professional Crappie Anglers Association, PCAA, right?
PCAA, yeah. There will be, as far as the December tournament, there will be no membership fees. There will be nothing like that. You just this December tournament is kind of a trial run tournament. We're getting our feet wet, trying to learn things. And I want to stress this too. We're not trying to compete with Crappiemasters. We're not trying to compete with Crappie USA, with the NCL or anything like that. I still fully support those guys 100%. I'm just trying to get tournaments in the Southeast. Right.
Well, you're trying to do something different to get some old school people involved.
Right.
And trying to get some kids. You don't want it to die out because there's going to be kids that's never seen that before.
Don't old school now. I mean, me and Scott, we ain't old school. We enjoyed that pushing them poles and.
Well, I say old school. It's really, you could call it old school compared to new technology now. But there's going to be a lot of kids that's never going to get the opportunity to do that.
That's right.
You go to Lake Talcum right now. There's still guides. When I was back down there in January, there were guys pushing, trolling everywhere, pushing poles and trolling.
Yeah. It's still a very effective technique.
Kevin Hicks tuned in late. He wants to know what lake this is going to be on. Go ahead and tell him.
Kevin, the first one will be on Lake Talcum, December 6th through the 9th. A lot of guys, we had a Peach State event there in early December of 2022. Was a really good turnout. Big weight took a big weight to win it. And then Crappie USA went to Talcott in January of 2023, and it also took a big weight. Guys, Talcott is fishing the best that I've ever fished it. Now, I don't get to go down there a whole lot, but when I've been, and Shane can tell you this, the most pound and a half,
Oh my gosh,
that I've seen in a long time. I mean,
like Talcott, I had two guys with me. They're minnow fishermen basically. I had them in the front of the boat. We caught 69 crappie, and you didn't know if it was a pound and a half or 2. You didn't know what you had. They're so angry and real. They're so healthy. Those fish are awesome.
So we tried to pick it and put it on a lake that everybody would have fun. Everybody would catch a lot of fish. If you don't win, you're going to go away from this thing saying, "Man, that was fun." That's what we're trying to do. But we hope, I hope a different person wins the big fish every day.
Right.
Every day. I hope a different person wins the heavy bag of the day each day of the event. And so I hope a lot of people win some money. What other tournament trail can you fish? And if you catch a big fish on day one, you get a prize package. And if you catch the heaviest 7 fish bag on day one, you got a prize package. But you may not actually win the event. And it's the same for day 2, 3, or 4.
Right. Somebody's asking here, Scott, you don't have to be a pro to fish in this tournament.
No, this is an open event. No,
it's an open event, buddy.
I tell you, Blake Stewart, that guy, he's from my hometown here in Cochran. He's my daughter's age, 14, 15 years old.
That's awesome.
His dad fishes with us in our club. And Blake just tied me a dozen jigs. I sent money to school with my daughter this morning.
That's awesome.
He's got my jigs in the book bag.
I love that. I love it.
Hey, man, I tell people this all the time. If you can't, when I was at a weigh-in when we fished at Alabama, the Crappiemasters at Alabama River, there was a 10, 12-year-old kid come up asking if he could get my boat. Climb all over. You're not going to tear anything up if I have it. Get your picture made. I mean, I know if I got to run in and see people like that catching fish when I was a kid, I was in tune with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I only know of probably 2 tournaments that a crappie fisherman can't fish in unless he's invited. It ain't nothing to do with pro. If you want to fish in a crappie tournament, you can do it.
That's right. That's right. So
that's what the family's about. It's not like, I won't say the other word, bass, but we take care of each other and
that's right.
After each other, and we want everybody to fish in it.
Absolutely. I'm a competitor. I love to compete. I want to compete for a lot of money if possible. But also at the same time, if you want to compete, I want you to be able to compete too. And if my kid wants to compete, I want them to be able to compete.
That's right.
I don't want to limit anyone. That's one reason why we're not doing any cutting of the fields after days 2, 3. Everybody's going to fish who signs up. I don't want to take that away from them. If they decide to go home, it's not going to be because I cut them out of the event. And I think having a 4-day event that is very appealing to a CVB. They have not experienced that before in crappie fishing, and a lot of CVBs that we've talked with honestly have kind of a bad taste in their mouth about some broken promises from some guys in our industry.
That's right.
That we're trying to fight through and power through and say, hey, hopefully we're different. We're not going to tell you we can promise you something that we can't promise. And I'm just to be quite honest with you, I'm being very upfront. It's probably costing me some venues because I'm so upfront with them, but I don't want to make a promise to anyone I can't keep.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of people. Well, what it is people thinking this, Scott. These guys is really great at forward-facing sonar or live scope, live target. Well, you can't beat them. You know what I'm saying? You just can't beat them. That's not true, because if you find the fish that way outweigh their fish, you can. But this format, you said you was a kid involved. You may fish a brush pile and catch 14 pounds off one tree.
That's right.
It's going to be an opportunity. It's going to be interesting.
I know there's a lot of guys here, and we've seen it in our local club. before forward-facing sonar, we'd have 30 boats show up on some of our lakes. If we have 15 boats show up now, we've had a good tournament.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of them, in my opinion, feel like either they can't compete or, you know, I'm out here and we're offering a traditional class in our club, but we only having 1 or 2 guys. Nobody wants to show up to, even though it's 100% payback, they want to compete. They want to feel like they've done something at the end of the day if they win, you know. And so,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of guys, really good fishermen in Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida that don't fish anymore. You know, and I really think it's because they feel like they can't compete with your Hayden Jeffries, with your Eric Cagles, Matthew Rogers, those guys, you know. And so they just like, why show up when I'm fishing for second? Well, now you're not fishing for second, you know. If you're a good long liner and an okay live scoper, you're probably going to do pretty dang good in this tournament.
Hey, Scott, I hear everybody saying that, and I'm not, Jessica and I are not the ones that compete with them. But I was raised up, I wanted to whoop whoever was the big dog. So everybody always says they're going to, Hayden's killing this, Hayden's killing that. If I show up to something like that, I want to whoop his butt.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You know you're like that, Scott.
Yeah.
And I know Eric is too. I
You
said,
know,
that ain't killing it. I said, you got to be madder and more ticked off than they are.
Oh, that's exactly right. You know,
that's right. Because in my mind, Hayden's supposed to beat me.
That's right.
He's
And
supposed to beat
I
me.
wanna go
But
in-
in the event I beat him, oh, buddy, I get to talk about that, you know.
hey, I think he's great. It's no different than you got a big home run hitter in baseball.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody sooner or later, somebody's gonna catch his number, you know. And like I said, to me, I think it gets young people. He's 21, 22 years old. It gets young people involved. You know, I think it's a great thing.
Man, right now, you dang right he is. But somebody's got to whoop the man. Mike Tyson was the man. But guess what? He got his butt whooped eventually. You know, you got to figure out the way to whoop him. And that's what everybody's trying to do right now. I mean, he's in his prime.
Well, and that's the problem. Hayden's got a bunch of guys beat before they ever get to the water.
I know he's in their head.
He's in their head. If they would just go fishing and not worry about what Hayden's doing and focus on what they can control, they do a lot better. I would love to see Hayden and his dad come fish this tournament. I would love to see it. Just, you know,
yeah.
Hayden's a great guy. I mean, you know, people,
awesome guy.
You know, a lot of people think, you know, he's standoffish or whatever. He's not standoffish. He's quiet, you know, but he's just as nice as
he will help you. He's one of the nicest
Exactly.
people alive.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know if you know this, Scott, but well, you do know this. I was on the boat with him, you know, at the, you know, that ACT tournament where he smashed everybody the first one. And I was on the boat with him the second day. You know, him and his daddy are like two of the nicest people you're ever gonna meet. But is he game on? When he gets on that boat, there is nothing else going on.
I guarantee you, when Hayden gets on the boat, he's not worried about somebody else on the water. He's focused on his game plan and what he's got to do.
He's worried about that rod bending over and whooping everybody's ass.
That's right.
That's the only way to put it, Johnny. I mean,
Yep.
He's got his head down. You know, he said in the tournament, you know, he had some missed opportunities, and he finished third or fourth. And hey, that next tournament when they weighed in all those fish, you know, keepers, he come back and you know, we weighed 489 pounds in, I think, 2 days.
You know, back when I was in college, I was at that time I was still shooting a lot of 3D archery and was pretty good at it. You go to a lot of tournaments around here, and you know, people come up to you and they say, "Man, I was hoping you wouldn't show up today." I'm like, "Sorry, Hoss, I'm here." You know, and I knew then that guy's beat before we ever go to the range. You know, he's worried about what I'm doing. Yeah. You know. And so you can't do that. You've got to worry about the variables that you can control. I think that's why Kevin Van Dam was so good. Everybody was scared of Kevin Van Dam. Kevin Van Dam wasn't worried about nobody else. Kevin Van Dam was worried about his game plan.
Well, that's it. Hey, I tell people all the time, hey, fish for your fish.
More than anybody else.
Do what now?
I always liked Kevin that he said, I'm worried how many more casts I can make than everybody.
That's right.
He was like, that guy that's jumping around, bumping spots, I'm trying to make more casts than he is.
He tells you that. He does.
I mean,
I tell people that all the time, like I was saying, go catch your fish. You know, I'll never forget when I first started fishing in a hot summer, I'd launch my boat and somebody'd be like, what are you doing? I'm going crawfish. Crappie don't bite in the summer. What are you doing? They don't bite. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, buddy, you just stay right here to this evening when I get back and I'll show you something. You know?
I'll give you all this spring for the summer.
Amen.
I will too.
Hey, we all agree on that.
The
Hey,
spawn is my least favorite time to fish.
Me too. Everybody asks the question, are they spawning? Are they on the banks? Man, please fast forward till May. Just please. You know, just get me to May where I can go, hey guys, there's 40 fish in that top. Let's catch 15 of them and go on. You know, I love that.
I do too. I'd heat rather fish summer, fall than I had when fish are spawning.
Hey,
spawning.
I've got something that a lot of people ask during the summer. All right, so you see 300 fish on a brush pile during the summer. Those fish that you catch, and they're like, oh, it just shuts off. I'm like, oh, yeah, you caught the ones that want to eat.
That's right.
Move on to your next brush pile.
That's great advice right there, for sure.
Don't keep beating on that thing because it's over with. If you got something else more, go to the next one.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Hey, it's coming. Like I said, we can go over another question show right now. This show is really dedicated to Scott, you know, putting out his new crappie league and stuff. So
yeah, Scott, finish out. Tell us the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, man. While you got this time, we got still 60 people here. Next show we can go through all y'all's questions right now. He's promoting this Professional Crappie Anglers Association, talking about this tournament, and we can get into all this stuff. Hey, we're trying to rush through the springtime anyway.
Well, so basically, you know, we're going to have the website up and running. You'll be able to register through the website. That'll be the way that we prefer you register, but you will also be able to, at some point in time, we'll post you know, our P.O. box and be able to mail a check in there. But, you know, it's just a 4-day event, 2 days live scope, 2 days non-live scope. There will be polygraph tests administered, especially for those top guys that did well on the non-live scope days, just to keep a good, fair and balance, check and balance, you know, make sure they weren't using the live scope. I would really don't think we have anyone that would do that, but you never know. There's money involved. You never know what people will do. But what I really hope, and you know, I've got a marketing degree that I don't use. It's probably a good thing, but I really hope that what we can do differently than some of these other tournament organizations is you know, start pushing all you see now is long rods or casting rods, and long rods is like a jigging rod,
right?
Live scoping rods. You know, you don't see any trolling rods or pushing rods or anything like that anymore. And I hope we can help some of these companies come on and promote moving some of that product off the shelf. I mean, it's you don't have to be a brain scientist to figure out that there's not a lot of people buying trolling rods anymore, you know, and there's a lot of inventory on the shelves. So, you know, I hope we can help move some of that product. I hope we can help promote and move some trolling racks again. You know, I have not contacted David at Driftmaster. I haven't contacted Millennium yet or anything like that, but I hope we can build a relationship with those guys and help promote their product. You know, so it's just something different. We've never had in the tournament crappie fishing world before. 4-day events, you know, just, you know, prize packages each day, off limits periods. I'm a big advocate for having off limits periods, you know,
Right.
You know, to me, that's just fair for everyone involved. And also, I think one thing it will do by having an off limits period is more so for the looking at it now from a business standpoint for the CVBs is you have an influx of guys come in at one time. They see tax revenue spike up in the city or in the community. Where'd that come from? It come from your fishermen that you brought in. You know,
There you go.
they're eating, they're buying gas, they're hotel rooms. You know, they're out doing things at night. You know, whatever. You know, so you should hopefully they'll see a tax revenue spike for the time period that we're there, and that's what you want to see happen. We want them to know that, hey, we brought revenue in, and you got a good return on your investment. So
that's good stuff. I think so. Like you said, man, I came in, I'll keep this short on this end. I came in the other day from fishing. I look over there and there's two 20-year-old, 18-year-old kids in a flat bottom with a quart and a jig, and they're going down the bank. He's got a trolling motor screwed to the side. You know, a lot of people can't afford this forward-facing sonar.
that's right.
I mean, Lord, you're looking at $3,000 or $4,000.
Beating the bank this time of the year is
Exactly. You know, a lot of people. That's right. A lot of people can't afford the $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 worth of electronics. You know, and hey, they can get them some weights and some some trolling rods or some pulling rods. And hey, and go to it. But to me, it's you just don't want it to lose. You don't want it to be a lost art. You know, you just don't want it to be.
That's right.
This thing, like I said, this is y'all's logo. I found it. Professional Crappie Anglers Association. I found it on your page, Scott. So you're gonna have your website up and running when?
I hope to have it up. So I talked with Brian, the guy that's building the website for us. Right. I talked with him earlier in the week, and he's hoping to have it finished by the end of next week, I believe is what he said. It's either the end of next week or the following week. To what?
Well,
good night. I love you too, honey. And
Scott, so just so that Jessica and I make sure y'all hadn't missed a step, you and your daddy, we're gonna probably need to get on the boat with y'all and like get a little refresher on the pushing, pulling.
Yeah, we need to get in the boat. Hey,
anytime,
hey,
y'all are welcome.
I'm gonna send a little kid for a spy.
Yeah, we don't mind like doing on Talquin it beforehand.
We can do that. We can do that. Hey, I'll tell you what, I've got to. It has been 3.5, 4 years since I pulled jigs, probably.
Man.
So I don't even know if I know where my pulling stuff is. So I'm gonna have to dust it off.
I never ever got good at that, but you know, the pushing spider, yeah, I'm good. I mean, not good. No, not good. We can do it and catch fish. But,
well, you know, and here's the thing. Lake Talquin is one of those lakes where you don't have to be good. You can catch fish.
There's a lot of fish.
Right.
I mean, Lake Talquin is as healthy as I have ever seen it. Now, I remember back in the day where you had to have, you know, 14 plus pounds if you were even going to be in contention. And probably I mean, I'm not going to lie, at least a couple of days of this event this December, you're probably going to have 14 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that it would take it every day, but there's enough fish in that lake of that size class to where it wouldn't surprise me if the heaviest weight of the event doesn't come from one of the non-live scooping days. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
They're going to pull some weight. Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
They're big weights.
My last little sidebar. All right. We talked about each day you got a little different way to go about it. So Silent Stalker, he's coming back. You got to think about that now. The Silent Stalker on the boat, that'd be a sponsor for you again.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that guy.
Joey Dickens, I think it's Joey Dickens, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know who.
That's the Mr. Silent Stalker that builds them for the boat. So if everybody's gonna start back to, you know, run in front of that boat.
The Joey Dickens is from Georgia.
I'll
look it up. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it.
All right, Silent Stalker. It might not be Joey Dickens. It's something Dickens. But listen, if you're gonna put that back in play again, I've got one, and I had, you know, he's Mr. Customer Service. Anything you got, he'll just like jump on it. But yeah, if we're gonna start pushing those poles and pulling and that stuff again, it's going to be back. You know, Hayden used one in the national championship.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And
Roy Dickens.
Roy Dickens. Okay.
Roy Dickens. is
yeah.
man.
Scott, contact him because everybody's going to be using those again if they're doing that, you know, every other day, you know.
If this thing takes off, it can be 100% right.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm telling you, we're going to try our best to make this thing as professional looking as possible. We will be running some GoPro cameras. Now for the Talquin event, I can't say that. Hang on there. I can't say that we'll have a film crew there, but we will be running GoPros at the weigh-ins and have a few GoPro cameras on some boats. Now, to be honest with you, we're not going to have a television show, but we will have a YouTube page, our social media pages, you know, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, things like that.
I'm just saying, everybody that's going to be doing part of, you know, the half of, they're going to need that boat slap to be a minimum.
That's right. You're exactly right. They're going, you know, you're going to need your rod holders again. You're going to need your silent stalkers. You know, a lot of baits that, you know, there's a lot of baits that's not being used anymore that were primarily used for pulling, you know. So there's a lot of stuff that I hope that we can bring that back, you know.
Individual rod holders.
Do what now?
Individual rod holders.
Individual rod. I still got individual rod holders.
Man, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on, guy. We've been on here an hour and a half, but hey, there's been 60 people on here the whole time. That's awesome. I mean, so
well, I hope I get to see all of them December 6th through 9th
right.
at Lake Talquin. You know, I will say this. I know that Whippoorwill and Ingram's and Lake Talquin Lodge, I know some guys have already called and reserved your room. So if you're even thinking about it, I would highly suggest go ahead and get a room.
Hey, it's a great time of year to be down there, period.
It is. I mean, it's just a fun time to fish.
Everything, like, you know, the website and the Facebook, go and put it all out there on that, and we'll all share.
We'll push the heck out of it on the show, man.
Yeah, I will. So as soon as the website comes up, and we already have the domain name reserved, and it's going to be fishpcaa.com is going to be the website name. So y'all keep checking. One of these days you're going to click on it, and it's going to go through, and bam, it's going to take you to a website. So
awesome.
We're getting that worked up, and everything will be on there. And once that happens, I'll share it to the Facebook page. Now, I'm not a very good social media influencer, so I'm sure we'll have to get, at some point in time, I'll get someone to run the social media aspect of it for us. But so right now, you guys will just have to struggle through me doing it when I think about it and have time. I'm doing something with it every day. I'm working on it every day. You know, but there's a lot of things that Daryl's had some surgery, so he's kind of been out of pocket. And the guy that's trying to sell some events, we've got some really good things in the works that I can't say anything about right now.
Hey, when you get all that stuff worked out,
you know, we've got some really good verbal agreements with some CVBs. But we don't have anything in writing yet, and I'm excited once we get that in writing and we can let the cat out of the bag on that. I really think there will be a lot of people excited to fish the events on some of the lakes that we're trying to get to. So, was that Derek Fulton there? That
yeah, I see it was.
Man, there's a long liner right there.
He said I'm going to save those dates. There's a lot
liner.
of people commenting on here that, you know, I've been watching on the show. Like I said, there have been people staying on here all night.
Yeah, Derek knows. Derek can catch a fish without live scope for sure.
That's awesome. Hey, Scott, I appreciate you coming on the show. John and Jessica,
I appreciate you having me.
Hey, man, next time we'll get you back on and answer some questions, because usually we go back through and try to. You done it last time, Scott. We had you on the show. You went through and answered questions, and so don't think we're ignoring y'all. I promise. We're just talking about this new tournament format. I appreciate everybody coming on.
Stay on, Scott, if you can.
All right. Stay on here, Scott, when we get through. Again, this is sponsored by CT Ward Power Sports. I appreciate Taylor and Jessica Ward big time. And Scott coming on, and John and Jessica as always. But we'll get to y'all's questions, try to answer here. And then next show, we'll go through the questions. This show right here, we're just trying to promote this new Professional Crappie Anglers Association tournament. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Thursday.